Hello and welcome to Shelf Centered. This is Bryce, and today I'm bringing you some top shelf news. This is where I like to talk about books and media as it relates to science fiction and fantasy, and I do go in that order. So starting with and jumping into it, we're going with the books. Let's talk about, you saw it in the title, Brandon Sanderson, 2024. It's actually the fall is what he's predicting. 2024 will have the fifth book in the Stormlight Archive. We don't even have a title yet. That's what he announced. Sanderson's great about being clear with his fans about where he's at with the process, with everything that he's working on. And so usually he'll do, if you look, he does the State of the Sanderson at the end of the year, but also on Reddit he will post, especially when it's Stormlight Archive related, in the Stormlight subreddit. And that's what he's done here. And it's pretty lengthy post just talking about what the delays are. So as you probably already knew, there was a delay already, or an announced delay to somewhere in 2023. That was the first announced delay. And it's been pretty clear with Brandon Sanderson's progress bar that he keeps. Again, he's very clear about where he's at in the process of everything, and that has been slowly, it's been on like 10 to 15% for ages, pretty much this whole year so far, when this is like the year that he's supposed to be working on the Stormlight Archive. Now, a lot of things make sense. One, if you've been hiding under a rock or something, you may have heard, or if you haven't been, you may have heard about his Kickstarter, the best Kickstarter ever and all that jazz. Anyway, he's it's kind of overwhelmed, everything that he's been doing, and he made some promises to the fans, the people that bought in the Kickstarter, that there's a certain deadline of the 4 books coming out next year, and he's in revisions and doing those things, getting those secret projects ready. The problem is, and I'm sure it comes with setting all these records and everything, there's just that added pressure to just get these things done, and so that's really the thing that has been promised, whereas Stormlight Archive 5 has been kind of like projected, and so I'm sure that one's easier to kick to the curb, even though I would argue that it's probably the most popular thing that he does. I don't know. I don't have anything to back that up. It just feels like it. And based on, talking to fans, talking to everyone, it just seems like that's the big one people are absolutely crazy about. I mean, even look at the fact that there's the Stormlight Archive subreddit that is quite popular. I'm sure there's a Mistborn one, and I will prove myself right or wrong now. So he gives a lot of excuses this year. So he's got that. He's got just increased business. He's the head of a business. He's the head of Dragonsteel, and so he's just got increased responsibilities with that. And I can relate to a tiny degree as a co-owner of the law firm that I work for. You just don't expect to have so many administrative details that you have to deal with, that you have to govern, that you have to constantly distract you from the thing that you actually went into business for. So I absolutely understand that. It's always something, it's some employee thing or some new added health insurance benefit or something, or whatever it is, there's always something new, and every week it's always like, how do I dedicate so much time to this when I should be dedicating it to the actual job? But anyway, so I feel him, I understand it, and especially when you do a Kickstarter like it has been done with the $40+ million Kickstarter, you're going to get into a whole realm of different problems that you've never been into before, I'm sure. And so, the Kickstarter itself was just, hey, see where we're at almost. And then now it's like, oh, we actually have to deliver on all these promises. And I know with all the paper delays, all this stuff, I know there's been a lot of delays in all kinds of things. So anyway, I can only imagine, but that sounds like it's been a big one, and I totally get it. The one that also does make sense, but is a little frustrating to me, he's also been very busy with movies, television adaptations, all those things. And again, you're gonna, obviously it's exciting to have adaptations and whatnot, and the world will be a better place with them. But I'm of the mindset, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, the book, it tends to be better than the movie, right? Except for some special cases, it's going to be better than the movie. It's really the highest form of the art, of the story that we have. And there's just so much time spent in the movie world, in TV and all that, when it's like, I'd prefer to just get more of the stories and less of the TV, and especially because adaptations can be so hit or miss, as we all know, with the fun of House of the Dragon and Rings of Power, as much as you can call that an adaptation. And the other thing too is you can't ignore the fact that look at what television adaptations have done to George R. R. Martin. I'm pretty positive he would have finished this all, maybe even the whole series by now, had it not been for the HBO series. Obviously, we'll never know. But it just in reading George R. R. Martin's blog posts over the years, that has been a huge factor in delaying him and causing him all those problems. Not that Brandon Sanderson will have the same issues. I don't think he has the actual issues of putting pen to paper, but the more we bog down his life with other things, the less we're going to get that pen to paper, unless we just get another pandemic, which nobody wants, obviously. So those are my thoughts on it. I take them for what they are. I know it's for what they cost you, right? And but it's just one of those. I'd rather have the book. That's the ultimate art form there for me and for my preferences. But it is what it is. I don't have a say in it for some reason. All right, in other news, the Horus Heresy in the Black Library, which is the publisher for the Warhammer 40k universe, stories, books, all that stuff. It's getting an end, the Horus Heresy itself. And so it starts with Horus Rising by Dan Abnett, and it's going to end in the 63rd book with Dan Abnett writing it. If you know the Black Library, you probably know it better than I do. I do own a couple of the books, but I just don't, I haven't read any of them yet. I've heard really good things, but it's literally where the whole phrase "in the grim darkness of the future" comes from, and so I might have slaughtered that. I don't know. I haven't read it, but it's a huge story that's written by multiple different authors. So there's lots of different books in there by all kinds of different authors. But again, it's getting an end. It seems to be a huge deal for the Black Library, for Warhammer 40k fans. And I'm celebrating 2 from the sideline, and maybe one day I'll actually read one. And hopefully soon, because I hear they're good. All right, and in award news, we got a couple things here. We have the Hugos were announced. I haven't heard a whole lot about them, but the Hugos are a huge award in science fiction. You'll see a lot of familiar names like Becky Chambers, Shauna McGuire in there. The biggest one is, of course, the best novel. And that looks like a book that I haven't read, but I'm definitely interested now a little more so. And that was A Desolation Called Peace. Check it out in the description below for the link to all the winners. Dune, the movie itself, got an award. All right, in other book news, guess what came out this week? You probably already read it, and this is old news for you, but this was exciting for me. It's a little thicker than I thought it was going to be honest. It's like in the 500s, hardcover. Almost 600 pages hardcover, so it's a chunker. It's getting some mixed reviews. I'm a little concerned. Mike's book reviews is kind of positive on the first half, not so positive on the second half. But he wasn't a big fan of Billy Summers. I was. He was a huge fan of Later. I was fine with it. It was good, but I wasn't as big of a fan. So obviously, as usual, your mileage may vary, but it does seem like pretty quintessential King. Anyway, I'm excited to read it, and I already have it, obviously. So that's our quick news for this week. Obviously, there's also the Rings of Power and the House of the Dragon, and we've got to compare them because they're out at the same time in their fantasy, I guess. I'm rooting for both of them to succeed. They're both in the very early stages, and we'll see how it goes. But I still have hope. I just feel like the better these do, I know I just complained about Brandon Sanderson doing adaptations, but I do feel like, you know, the better we can have these go, the better that others will go in the future. And so let's hope we'll have some continually good entertainment there. I just want Brandon focused, okay? That's all I'm asking here. But anyway, what are you thinking? Let me know in the comments. Please like and subscribe as usual. It just helps the channel out, and we'll catch you next time. Thank you. Bye.